There exists a Dutch company, nearly 400 years old, whose value dwarfs even the largest corporations of the modern age. If you combine the market capitalizations of Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, and Saudi Aramco, you still would not reach the scale this single entity once achieved. When people think of capitalism, old money, and global power, they usually turn to names like the Rothschilds or the Rockefellers. Rarely do they think of a quiet Dutch enterprise that fundamentally reinvented how wealth, corporations, and empires operate. This company created the world's first corporation, the first stock exchange, and the first initial public offering. And remarkably, its institutional descendants still exist today. This is the story of the Dutch East India Company, the VOC, and the House of Orange. To understand how this began, we need to go back to the late 16th century. In 1580, a seismic shift occurred in Europe. Spain absorbed Portugal into a personal union, placing two vast global empires under a single crown. Together, they controlled territories across Asia, Africa, and the Americas. This consolidation instantly reshaped global power at sea. For the Dutch Republic, this posed an existential threat. The Dutch were still fighting for independence from Spain, and now they faced an enemy with unprecedented global reach. Militarily, they could not compete directly, so they forged a different weapon: private capital. In 1602, 7 competing Dutch trading companies were merged into a single entity, the Verenigde Oost-Indische Compagnie, known today as the Dutch East India Company. On the surface, it resembled a merchant firm. In reality, it was an instrument of economic warfare. It possessed armed fleets, private armies, fortified ports, and the legal authority to act as a sovereign power. What made the VOC truly revolutionary, however, was not its firepower. It was its shares. For the first time in history, ordinary citizens could invest in imperial expansion and profit from it. The company scaled beyond anything a monarchy could achieve. Without a king and without raising taxes, wealth was no longer tied to land, titles, or divine right. It was manufactured through markets. While merchants designed the machine, another force stabilized it: the House of Orange. The House of Orange held noble status but no crown. In a republic dominated by merchants, their traditional authority was fragile. Spain sought their destruction. Amsterdam's elites wanted tighter republican control. Feudal power no longer guaranteed survival. Faced with irrelevance, the House of Orange adapted. They tied their fate to capital. Although they did not directly operate the VOC, they financed it, protected it, and aligned their political future with its success. Over time, this relationship deepened. Members of the House of Orange later became leaders of both the Dutch East India Company and the Dutch West India Company, effectively positioning themselves among the most powerful figures in Europe, not through crowns, but through dividends. The VOC did not behave like a company. It moved like a state. At its peak, its valuation exceeded $79 trillion in today's terms, greater than the GDP of most nations and more valuable than any modern corporation. It employed over 1 million people across its history. Ships departed the Netherlands carrying sailors, soldiers, clerks, and administrators, all employees of a mega-corporation, not subjects of a king. The VOC governed ports, negotiated treaties, enforced monopolies, and imposed its will by force when necessary. Its power rested on 3 pillars: a sweeping state charter, Amsterdam's financial elite, and the strategic backing of the House of Orange. The charter granted authority that rivaled sovereign rule. The company could wage war, sign treaties, seize territory, and govern colonies. With hundreds of ships, tens of thousands of employees, and its own private army, the VOC dominated trade routes from the Persian Gulf to Japan. In Southeast Asia, its influence was most visible. In 1619, the VOC captured Jakarta and renamed it Batavia, transforming it into the administrative heart of its Asian empire. For centuries, Dutch governors ruled from this city, shaping the region's economy, culture, and political structures, effects still visible today. Financing such an empire required innovation. Rather than relying on monarchs or short-term loans, the VOC pioneered permanent public investment. In 1602, it launched the world's first IPO. For the first time, ownership in a global enterprise could be freely bought and sold. This created the world's first secondary market, the Amsterdam Stock Exchange. Investors were protected by a revolutionary legal concept: limited liability. If a ship sank or a venture failed, shareholders lost only what they invested. Their personal assets remained untouched. This single innovation unlocked mass participation in capital markets and laid the foundation of modern investing. Speculation followed. Traders bet on future prices. Arbitrage emerged. Fear of missing out drove demand. VOC shares rose nearly tenfold over a century, turning public capital into imperial power. These financial ideas did not remain confined to the Netherlands. They traveled with people, and with one man in particular, William of Orange. In 1688, England faced political crisis. Parliament turned to William and his wife Mary, importing not only a new monarch, but a new financial system. The Glorious Revolution introduced Dutch-style public credit, government bonds, and central banking. The Bank of England was born. War would now be financed through markets, not treasure chests. Meanwhile, Dutch influence had already crossed the Atlantic. New Amsterdam, later renamed New York, was built on Dutch legal and financial foundations. Credit systems, contract enforcement, and commercial norms survived British takeover. Over time, these structures helped transform a trading outpost into a global financial center. By the 18th century, Dutch and British financial elites worked in tandem. Amsterdam's stability merged with London's dynamism. Their shared architecture shaped global finance, and later American capitalism. Yet even giants fall. By the late 1700s, corruption, rising costs, internal inefficiency, and global competition weakened the VOC. Oversight failed. Markets changed. Monopolies lost favor. In 1796, the Dutch government nationalized the company. Its charter quietly expired. The empire collapsed, but its blueprint survived. Modern corporate finance, multinational corporations, public markets, limited liability, and state market hybrids all trace their lineage to the VOC. Today, the Netherlands no longer rules the seas, but it remains a financial powerhouse, attracting trillions in global investment. And behind this enduring influence, the House of Orange still casts a long shadow. The crown may be ceremonial, but its ties to industry, energy, and capital remain deeply embedded. From Royal Dutch Shell to modern financial institutions, Dutch corporate architecture continues to shape global markets. This story, however, cannot be told without acknowledging its cost. The VOC's rise was built on violence, forced labor, massacres, and exploitation, from the Banda Islands to Batavia. Its financial innovations came alongside immense human suffering. That is the enduring lesson. Power and capital are inseparable. Markets can replace crowns. Corporations can become states, and systems built for efficiency often sacrifice morality along the way. The VOC changed the world. Its methods still govern how money moves today. If markets now hold the power once reserved for monarchs, the question remains: who governs the markets? If this analysis expanded how you understand capitalism's origins, subscribe to Financial History, where we uncover the hidden architecture behind global wealth and power.